All the mini set cards are out, so now I think it's a good idea to do a tier list of all of the new cards we will be getting tomorrow. So in this video I will rank all of the cards, and again tell you what my thoughts are, even though we kinda did the same thing in the latest reviews, but now I had a little bit more time to think about them, so there's that too. If you're liking the content, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the cards.
You are not prepared!
Okay, so we're starting off with a Death Knight Pally card, Mining Casualties, summon 2 Silver Hands, and give them Deathrattle, summon a couple of 1/1 ghouls. This is only costing 2 mana, so it's a pretty powerful card if you ask me. It's fitting well both for Death Knights and for Pallies. For Death Knights it gives you extra corpses, for Pallies it gives you charge minions, so you could abuse that with things like Crusader Aura, maybe with the other Lifesteal Aura and whatnot. So yeah, definitely sounds like a strong card. I'm not sure if I'm too generous here, but I think this card is gonna be seeing plenty of play, so let's hit it off with a strong S tier, shall we? It's at least an A, more like A+, but I think it is gonna be quite the substantial card for both the classes, so let's give it the good old S. Next up we have Elemental Companion. The cards are in no particular order, by the way, I just plopped them all out. But yeah, we have Elemental Companion. This is a pretty sick card with giving you summoning, what were they? Heifer, Liuk, and Makla? I don't know, I don't remember the exact names, but you get the gist of it. That was basically what they were. Basically iterations of Liak, Heifer, and Misha, and pretty fun stuff, honestly. I really like the flavor of the card. The card itself is gonna be giving you some good stuff, like 4/4 untargetable, 2/4 -1 was it? And 4/2 plus spell power. If I remember correctly, I'm gonna have it on the screen, I promise, if I don't forget. But yeah, the card is both for Mage and Hunter, sitting at 3 mana. It's a cool card, I really like the concept, but I think it's a B card. It's like, it can fit in well in plenty of decks, but you're probably not gonna build your entire deck around it. It's way too random, you're not discovering or anything, so always Heifer and other lives with Terrozan, but yeah, I think a B is a good way to go. We also have a 3 mana Hunter Death Knight card. This is Mismatched Fossils. Discover a beast and undead. Swap their stats. It does sound like a cool card. But it is just discovering, so it's not like you can build your deck around it super efficiently. When the mini set comes out, the pool both for beasts and undeads is gonna be super big, so it's gonna be far from consistent, that's for sure. But once the April rotation happens, it might actually turn out to be a lot more consistent than it is right now. But for now, I think giving it the good old B again sounds like a good way to go. Next up, we have Sir Finley, and he's a Pally Shaman card, sitting at 3 mana, 2/3. Battlecry, if you've excavated twice, transform all enemy minions into 1/1 Murlocs, and no, obviously this is just a huge effect, sitting on a 2/3 body, which is a Murloc, both for Shaman and for Paladin, both for getting some excavate action going, so I really think the package for both the classes felt real strong to begin with, and the rewards are real nice. So Sir Finley, like those, will be quite the cool thing. You will be able to handle some massive boards with this, like play this against the Dragon Druid and boom, their Dragon Golems are now 1/1s. Play this against any class with big stuff, you transform them, no more Deathrattles, no more nothing. So yeah, transforming Titans and whatnot, I think this is another A+, probably S tier card, honestly. Next up we have the Needling Totem, a 2 mana 0/2 totem for Shaman and Warrior. And at the end of your turn, gain 2 armor and draw cards. Both the classes are going to be enjoying that effect quite a lot. It's going to be fitting in control decks. It's probably going to fit in Totem Shaman. It's going to be fitting in most of the archetypes that are seeing play right now, and maybe in the ones in the future as well. All around, it's like a gold banner card. Definitely pretty solid. Should be seeing plenty of play. I'm going to give it that good old A. Now we're looking at a 3 mana Death Knight Pally card, Prosthetic Hands. It's a 3 mana 3/1 mech and magnetic. It has Reborn, can magnetize the mechs and undeads, which is a pretty cool concept. It's a pretty strong mech to begin with, but being able to slap this on some undeads might also be pretty powerful. Like, you are giving the thing Reborn. So giving this to something like a Deathrattle or something like a Ziliax, it's gonna be pretty powerful, you know, getting back that Divine Shield. So yeah, I think this should be another all-around pretty good card, both to run in your deck and to discover. Should be seeing some play for sure. Not sure, it's between B and A, honestly, but I think I'm gonna be generous here and I'm gonna give it the A. Now we're looking at the 5-mana Shadow Word Steel, and this is gonna be a shadow spell. Return an enemy minion to your hand, both for Rogue and for Priest. And this is gonna be a very disgusting card, guys. Like, it is gonna be very demoralizing playing against this crap, because the opponent is gonna have an efficient way of dealing with a very big target for you, and it's also gonna be able to steal it from you, so getting things like your Titans, like your Colossals, should be pretty nasty. And even though it's sitting at 5 mana, that's not exactly cheap. Both the classes do have ways to discount this thing. Like for Rogue, it's gonna be an easy prep, so only 3 mana. For Priest, they can discover it with Illumination and whatnot for cheaper stuff. So both classes should be enjoying this, both maybe to run and to discover. For Rogues, probably to discover, but for Priest, they can definitely clap this into their deck. I think it's gonna be another A from me. Some people are calling it way too expensive, but I don't know, I have a feeling it's gonna be more powerful than some people think. Now we're looking at a 4-mana Glowstone Gyro Worm, and this is a 4-mana 4/4 Elemental for Priest only, and it has Lifesteal, Quick Draw, deal 5 damage, or Forge, Quick Draw becomes Battlecry, so this is gonna be a 4-mana 4/4, deal 5 damage with Lifesteal, which is pretty nice. It can go fast, it can control the boards, and it can also heal you, so a pretty powerful tool for Priest again. They are definitely gonna be very happy having an extra good Forge card in their deck so they can activate Ignis and whatnot, and also getting healing while removing and sticking a body, like very, very good stuff, so I'm gonna go with another A here. Now we're looking at a 5-mana 5/5 Mage Hunter cards. Mantle Shaper costs 1 less for each spell you've cast while holding this. And cards like this generally do tend to be OP. Like, to begin with, this is a 5-mana 5/5, so it's very close to being okay a card. Like, obviously not in today's standards or anything. Even at a 4-mana, this is somewhat not amazing, but dropping this down to 3 to 2, hack to 0 is not going to be exactly hard, especially if you have the coin. And things like Arcane Hunter should be capable of dropping this down to 2 mana quite quickly. Mages should be able to drop it down to 2 or 3 relatively easy as well, like usually even down to 0 if they hold long enough. So yeah, I think this card is probably gonna be pretty good, guys. Like, I really think this card is gonna be really good. I'm almost tempted to slap it with the good old S again, but I don't know. Like, I'm gonna go with a safe A here. Next turn we have Fool's Gold, which is a rogue 1-mana spell. Get a random golden pirate and elemental from other classes. Right now there are actually not many pirates for other classes in standard, like they're all actually premium. The elementals obviously are gonna be a lot more though, so kind of a diluted pool. It's a great way to activate things like Velrock, which we are hoping is gonna get nerfed really soon. But it's really not gonna be a game-breaking card or anything. It's gonna be decent. Maybe it's gonna see some play. It's not gonna be a bad discover, but it's not gonna be anything super broken or anything. So I think I'm gonna give it a B. Like, I'm not sure, like, for a card to go for C and D, it has to be absolute hot garbage. And honestly, I'm hoping we don't have absolute hot garbage in the set. So far, seems like I'm going pretty generously, and I usually am. But I think these are fair stats. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Moving down to the signature, well, I shouldn't call it signature, but obviously this is the core legendary for the new mini set. Terrozan, the 7-mana 7/5 elemental. Taunt, Deathrattle, double the stats of all elementals in your hand and deck. And this card is a little bit slow, honestly. It's a wee bit on the slow side. It is gonna be nice after you get it to double up the rest of your things, but honestly, elemental decks are not supposed to be played slowly, you know. On turn 7, you're questioning your decisions in life, and why are you playing this deck and still haven't won till then. So I'm not sure if terrozan is gonna be an absolutely great support card for the elemental decks, and I'm not sure it's gonna fit into Highlander decks. Like, how many more elementals are you actually gonna fit? It is a neutral card, so maybe we're gonna see some good decks out of it, but for now, I think this is gonna be the first C class for me. Like, for a legendary, it's just a little bit too slow for my taste, so I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is worth the C. Next up we have a 4-mana Shaman card, Nature Spell, digging straight down, deal 8 damage to a minion, excavate a treasure. Very nice excavate card, honestly. It's a little bit expensive sitting at 4, but it's also deleting things like Ragnaros easily from the board as soon as turn 3 or 4. It's a nature spell, you can discover it, so that gives it extra style points. And all around it should be a great core piece for any excavate shaman out there, so as long as that's a deck, this is gonna be an A-tier card for me. Next up we have the 3-mana Summoning Wart, which is a secret for Mage. And this one is whenever your turn starts, summon a copy of your highest cost minion. Any objections? No, right? Honestly, this is just I would give this a C just because it dilutes the pool for mages and basically secret discovers so you don't get objection as often. But this is just another bad secret, guys. You're not gonna really run this in your deck as far as I'm concerned. Not at least for now. Maybe when some of the good secrets like Objection leave standard in April, then it might start seeing some more play, but honestly for now, this is really not going to be something people are going to realistically run in their deck and expect good results. Next up we have Soul Freeze, which is a 1-mana Mage and Warlock card. It's a Frost School spell, and freezes a minion and its neighbors, and it deals damage to the number of minions you've frozen, so up to 3 damage. 1 mana freeze a minion, or 3, or 2. Really solid thing. These types of cards are the reason why positioning matters so much in Hearthstone. So anytime you're positioning your crap on the board, you gotta ask yourself, can you actually position against things like this? This is gonna be a very impactful card when you're playing against mages and warlocks, and not only, like so many classes can discover different crap. So you gotta be real careful how you position, and the way you could position with against cards like this is with the help of your locations, with dormant minions, with stealth minions, with untargetable minions. Like with locations, it's obvious. Put it in between your minions and make sure you separate the heavy hitters. Like if you have 2 big hitters and a location, put the location in the middle and they have to choose which side they are gonna freeze first. If you have 2 good minions and 1 bad one, put it between the good minion and the bad minion and the good minion. And that way they get to freeze just half of the board that way. And if you only have up to 3 minions, again, using the stealth minion or the untargetable minion in between them, makes sure the opponent cannot freeze more than 2 minions at the same time. So very important skill to have in Hearthstone, and many legend players are not even batting an eye for positioning, guys. Like I've seen so many people that are literally top 1000 legend players and they don't give a rat's ass about positioning, guys. Not even kidding. And this should be very important skill for you if you want to really improve in Hearthstone. And while we're at it, becoming a better player in Hearthstone, subscribe to the channel if you're serious about it. Like, really, I'm doing my best to give you guys top-notch quality meta reports, as well as detailed coaching sessions and gameplay videos. So if you're serious about the game, might want to give it a check. So yeah, Soul Freeze, I would believe, is another S-tier card. Very excellent. It's an excellent control tool, sitting only at 1 mana. The damage is not that big a deal and could actually help for Warlocks big time. So all around great cards, should be amazing. Now we're looking at a 3-mana Priest Druid card. It's a nature spell, Pendant of Earth. Discover a minion from your deck, gain armor equal to its cost. This is gonna be very nice for a low minion count decks out there that really rely on discovering that good minion. Like, it's gonna be great for things like Control Priest, so they can discover their Titan, their Colossal, that kind of deal. Maybe they're Yogg. It's gonna be great for Druids as well. Like, it could be a part of some of those OTK BS decks with Thaddeus. It could be a part of top Yor Druids and whatnot. It should be a very solid card for both the classes. And yeah, if broken things like Thaddeus keep on remaining in the game after a couple of weeks after the mini set comes out, I think this card is really gonna be shining. So again, it's either A+ or S tier, and I think I'm gonna go with S again. Now we're looking at a 4-mana Aftershock. This is a Shaman/Warrior card, a rare nature spell. Deal 1 damage to all minions 3 times. Costs 2 less if you've cast a spell last turn. So this is basically like a Blade Storm, but a little bit better, and also a little bit worse, obviously. But against Deathrattle boards, this is gonna be great. Like, it kills the Reborn minion and kills the Reborn after as well, if it's low enough health. It can deal with the 1/1 Tauren for Druids, like literally deletes it in the same turn. It can also work against 1 health minions that have Soul of the Forest cast on them, so it's gonna be very nice against token-y decks like that, is what I'm trying to say. All around solid removal cards, and I'm gonna go with another A for this card. Now we're looking at the fossilized Keta... what the hell? Keletosaur, I think. Close enough. It's really tiny, guys. I'm doing my best to read this without zooming in even further, but very wonky site for a tier list. Like, I wish the card was actually becoming bigger once I click on it so you guys can actually also read it with ease. Now I'm gonna have to do a ton of editing to show you the cards so you can see them better, but yeah. The 4-mana fossilized 3/4 undead. And this thing has a Battlecry, gain 2 random bonus effects, and it's also excavating a treasure. Honestly, if this thing was not an excavate card, I still think it would have been a B-class card, but since it is also an excavate card, it's just over the top. This is excellent support for Paladin excavate decks, and the reward that Pally is getting also looks pretty sick, so top-notch excavate card, gonna give it another A. You could argue it might even be an S tier card, but it's not game-breaking, like you're not gonna play this and win the game like something like an Astalor or whatnot, so yeah, pretty good stuff, pretty nice support. Now we're looking at a 1-mana Demon Hunter rogue card, Shadestone Skulker. It's a 1-mana 1/1 elemental that has Rush and Battlecry, your weapon. And the Battlecry is take your weapon and gain its stats, and Deathrattle, give it back. And we did have a clarification, it's gonna give it back with the buffed stats. Like, it's gonna give the weapon as it took it, so if you're a rogue and you played a hero power, gave it some poisons and whatnot, this thing is gonna give it back nice and well, unharmed. At the same durability it got stolen from as well. But yeah, should be a nice card. You could do some Draka nonsense like this, so you can delete big taunts in the way. Should be nice for Demon Hunter as well. They don't have that much amazing weapons, and don't get fooled. Like, if you're playing something like Chaos Strike on Demon Hunter, they're not gonna apply that damage to the weapon you're stealing, because that damage is on your hero, not on the weapon. It's a small difference, but a very vital one. So yeah, this should be a pretty good card again. I'm not even sure, again, between S and A. I'm gonna give another A. Feels like that's gonna be the majority of the cards, doesn't it? But the card is definitely very well designed, very powerful, very high potential for it. So we're gonna have to wait and see if we actually get some pretty nice decks with it too. Next up, we have the 6-mana 4/6 elemental, Obsidian Revenant. This thing is both for Hunter and Death Knight, and it has Taunt, Deathrattle, summon 2 random Deathrattle minions that cost 3 or less. It's an elemental, and having Taunt is definitely not bad. It is going to be an excellent arena card, that's for sure. A lot of value in this one. It's also going to be pretty nice discovering it randomly, more like summoning it randomly, because that gives you a lot of stats, protection, and all of that. But I'm not really sure we're going to see this ran into any decks that are actually planning to be anything more than bottom tier 2. And even that's a long shot. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a C-class card. It's just not amazing for standard, and honestly, that's what we're looking here. Is this a card you're actually gonna run in your deck and expect to be tier 1 or top tier 2? Now we're looking at a 2-mana 3/2 elemental neutral card, Shale Spider. And this thing has Battlecry. If you played an elemental last turn, draw a card. So it's basically like the Panther we had that wanted you to hero power, but this one is actually doable easily on turn 1. Again, it's something like a Gold Panther, even though the effect is one and done kind of deal. It's gonna be a cool card. It's neutral, so it's gonna be usable by most. It's basically a Novice Engineer with a requirement and better stats. It's an okay card. I think it's gonna make its way into some decks, but yeah, it's an elemental, guys. Like, it's gonna help you with the elemental synergy, so I'm gonna give it a B, and I think that's all it deserves. Now we're looking at a 3/2 3-mana Druid Warlock spell, Trog Gem Toser, and this thing has Finale, deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. So if you do this on turn 10, this is basically like a Astalor for only 3 mana. You only get to do it once that turn, because you gotta trigger the Finale somehow. which is kind of cool. No requirement on it. I'm not sure what kind of deck you're going to be using this into, but definitely is going to make the spot into Highlander decks. Druids are going to be loving this because they ramp on 10 real fast. So I think it's actually going to be another A-tier card. On the reveal, I didn't really look at it too fondly, but it's basically an Astalor, guys. Like 3 mana Astalor, God knows we like those. So you clear the board with 7 mana and then 10 damage to the face. That's basically a Pyroblast while you're actually controlling the board, so I think it's a really good card, and it might actually need some toning down at some point. Maybe not now, but maybe in the future. Now we have a 4 mana 6/8 Elemental, which is a Druid Warlock card. This is the Gloomstone Guardian that has Taunt, and it also has choose 1, discard 2 cards, or destroy one of your mana crystals. Forge, do neither. Which is kind of good, you know, like this is actually excellent for both the classes if you ask me. Doing this on turn 2 and coining it on turn 3, suddenly you have a turn 3 6/8 taunt on the board, defending you from most aggro decks very well. I think it's actually going to be a great card. Like for Druids, you obviously always want it forged, but for Warlocks, you might actually be okay with the discard effect on it. You're definitely not gonna want to lose a mana crystal, that's for sure. But I don't know. It's kind of between B and A. I'm giving a lot of cards A. Not sure if this one deserves to be among all of these good ones. Definitely is at least in this spot, but honestly it's between these two. But too many an A already, so let's give it a B. Even though I really think the card is quite good. Now we have a 3 mana 4/3 Elemental, the Iridescent Gyro Worm, an epic, which has Deathrattle, give all of your minions a random bonus effect. And the bonus effects are gonna be Rush, Divine Shield, Stealth, Wind Fury, Lifesteal, Taunt, and what am I missing here, guys? Reborn. Okay, so that's the 7 effects if I didn't say something twice. But yeah, those effects are great. But since this is a Deathrattle and not a Battlecry, I'm not exactly sure how well that's gonna pan out. So, I don't know. I think it's another B card at most. Maybe we're gonna have some good activation for this Deathrattle. Not now, but in the future. Heck, maybe even we have it right now and I'm not thinking about it. Technically, this is actually kind of a good thing for things like Rogue. Like, I wonder if a Rogue deck could emerge like this. Like, you play turn 1 the Shadow Shambler, and then you build a big-ass board, and then at some point you play this for only 2 mana and it procs instantly, so who knows, it might actually be a worthy card to think about. Definitely there is something to it. I'm pretty sure something is gonna emerge out of this at some point, so I'm gonna give it B. Has potential, but I'm not sure it's just there yet. Now we have the 2 mana Demon Hunter Rogue weapon. After your hero attacks, draw a card. The quick pick, it's a 1/2, so basically like a rogue hero power, but it also draws a couple of cards, so definitely not bad. Both the classes do enjoy card draw quite a lot. You could give it extra durability with some cards in standard right now as well, so it could be part of some good decks for both the classes, I do believe. Again, I feel it's between B and A. I'm gonna give it B again, but it could just as easily have gone to A as well. We also have the 1 mana Hunter card, Shimmer Shot, an arcane spell that deals 1 damage and summons a random minion of that cost. So if you buff this up with some spell power action, it certainly becomes 3 damage, so you could easily do that in Arcane Hunter right now. Should be able to actually fit in pretty well. It's going to be nice support for the deck. Like, you're going to deal 1 damage probably to the face while developing. Say less. Like, pretty good stuff, being arcane and whatnot. So I think it might actually be A. I think it's gonna help the arcane archetype, maybe bring it back to the more respectable levels it used to be. Next up we have the 6 mana Druid card, Crystal Cluster, and with this one you're gonna be gaining 3 empty mana crystals, any that couldn't fit, summon a 3/7 elemental with Taunt. This is a pretty nice ramp card, but sitting at 6 mana, if you don't play this exactly on turn 6 or coin it on turn 5, you're always going to be leaking that ramp, and it has a safety net. Like, it is going to be summon you some idiots in the process if you do it later. So even as a 6 mana summon 3/7 taunts, it's kind of good, right? Like, it's a good defense mechanism. Sounds like it fits Druids quite well. Sadly, it's not a nature spell, so that's a little bit of a bummer. because you won't activate Top Yor, you won't be able to discount it through Discovery and whatnot. You won't be able to discount it with the Blossom Eater, but I do believe the card is actually quite good. I think it's gonna fit in excellently in Highlander decks, and some creators call it crap, but I think I'm gonna go on a limb here and give it an A. Now we have the 7 mana 5/6 Maroose Stonebinder. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, discover an elemental. To summon, add the others to your hand. This one's gonna give you a lot of extra value while also applying a little bit of tempo, potentially a lot of tempo if you get lucky with the Colossal Elemental. You could also get Alakir out of this one. Like, it should be decent, you know? Like, you get the Discover and also get a couple of elementals back in your hand. Honestly, the second half might not be super amazing, because I think this is not a card you're going to be super happy running in elemental deck, even though it's probably going to be your most expensive card in the deck and it might actually fit. But you're probably going to be running this more often in just Highlander decks. Like, it is a Highlander card, so yeah, I don't think there's going to be a Highlander good elemental deck. Like, if you're an elemental deck, you got to be fast. That means you got to have a consistent curve, and that's not going to be the elemental way. So yeah, this being a Highlander card should be pretty nice. It's going to give you a good amount of value. And also potential Ragnaros, Alakir. What the hell was the Wind Fury Colossal called? Slipped my mind, but obviously that one as well. So plenty of good elementals out there, but also plenty of small ones. So it might be mediocre at certain moments, but obviously you're not building the entire deck because of this card. You're including this card because you're already Highlander, so in that regard I think it's good enough. So again, it's between B and A. I think I'm gonna give it B though. It's a legendary after all, so we're expecting legendaries to be crazy good, right? And this one is not. However, this one is. Let's start off by doing this and then start talking. It's a 6 mana 2/4 Deep Miner Bran, a warrior minion. Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, your Battlecries trigger twice for the rest of the game, guys. This is insane. Literally broken stuff. I think this is gonna take warrior over the top. Double Battlecry Astalor. That's something the devs did work on to not happen again, and it somewhat was achieved. This card is gonna make warrior crazy good, guys. Like, it's not even a neutral card, so only warrior is gonna have access to this crap. Highlander warrior is already feeling like a top tier deck, especially in top 1000 legends. And this is just gonna be crazy good. Like, so many decent battle cries that are gonna get triggered twice, but so many OP ones with Astalor at the top. Odin is not going to be giving you the armor damage twice. That is something that used to work before, but the devs fixed it without telling anybody. Basically, it's a nerf, but who am I to disagree? This shouldn't be giving you 2 turns in a row Reno effect either, as far as I'm aware. I kind of thought it would, but my chat thinks otherwise, and I'm kind of leaning towards that now as well. But plenty of other good battle cries out there. You're going to get 2 Ignis weapons. That's huge. You're gonna be drawing 4 cards with the 2/2 stone, whatever armor was it called. So many great things. Like, needless to say, this card is huge, and it's also the diamond card, so obviously that's why it's huge. Not gonna be surprised if this thing gets nerfed. Like, even sitting at 8 mana, that might tone it down, because a lot of the times you're finding it hard to actually spend 8 mana on Odin. So this, I think it is gonna be one of the cards that is gonna get nerfed relatively soon after the expansion comes out. We have the 1 mana warrior demon hunter spell as well, Burning Hearts. It's a fire spell, deal 2 damage to a minion. If it survives, give your hero +3 attack this turn. You could be using this on the opponent's minions, you could be using this on your own minions to enrage them. All around, it should be a nice support card for both demon hunter and warrior, probably more for warrior though. And yeah, giving you +3 attack, pretty huge. I guess even Demon Hunter can utilize this greatly, like 1 mana gain free. You also have 0 mana gain free, obviously, but at 1 mana it's also a cheap spell to cycle your Naga with, let's say. You can also use it with the legendary spell, so you can slap big time with this one. I think it's gonna be a good card for both the classes, so let's give it an A again. Next up is the 6 mana 2/8 Elemental Dragon Stone Drake, and this thing has Divine Shield, Taunt, a Lifesteal, and it cannot be targeted. It's only a 2/8, it doesn't have a battle cry on it, so it's just that. You won't be able to buff it with Druid with the free beast, for instance, but you will be able to buff it with Garden's Grace and whatnot, so that can be cool. I think it should find its place in Dragon Druids, even though it is an expensive dragon, so you will be muddying up your pool of big dudes with your Summerflower Child, so there's that. But I still think it's gonna be worth it. Like, the Lifesteal, Divine Shield, and Taunt, and Untargetable, it's gonna be very hard for the opponents to deal with this without actually healing you back plenty. And even if you don't manage to buff it, it's still gonna be giving you some nice little life support, so I think it's another pretty nice card. I might be crazy here. Again, I think it's between B and A, but I'm gonna give it A. Now we're looking at the Rogue Priest 2-mana Elemental, which is a 2/2, Hidden Gem. Stealth at the end of your turn. Restore 2 health to all friendly characters. So this is going to be healing you, it's going to be healing all of the minions, and it's most importantly going to be overhealing a lot of your stuff. So this should be nice support for Overheal Priest. I'm not sure if it's enough to make the deck finally work, but it definitely is a step in the right direction for that archetype. It's also going to help rogues do a bunch of value trades and then heal back to full at the end of the turn, and it's also stealth, so you could remain with this stealth forever. And the opponent is gonna have to find some AoE to actually remove it, or some random target. So all around should be a pretty cool card. I think it might enable some nasty stuff. It might even be a part of the Deathrattle rogue I was talking about with the Gyro Worm, but again, I think it's gonna be a B-class card because it is gonna need an actual archetype around it to really start shining. We have the 6-mana Fel spell for Mage and Warlock, Chaos Creation, and this thing deals 6 damage. It can go face or into a minion. Summon a random 6-cost minion, and also destroy the bottom 6 cards of your deck. I really think this is not something Mage ever wants to do. Like, why would you want to destroy the bottom of your deck aside from it being literally lethal? So you're not going to be running this into a Mage deck, I'm afraid. But you can definitely discover this and kill somebody like that if that's your winning play. Then again, they can also just have 4-mana Fireball and whatnot, but whatever. Yeah, it's definitely looking more like a Sludge support card. It should be helping Sludge Warlock a lot in Standards. I think for Warlock, this could be an A-class card. It could be an actual OTK activator, even after Thaddeus gets nerfed. When is that happening, by the way, Hearthstone? So I think it has potential to be an A-class card, heck, even an S-tier card. It could also end up being literal hot garbage. But I think I believe this is going to be a good card for the Sludge synergies we're seeing lately. So as long as those remain strong, this is also going to be strong with it. Now we have a Warrior Demon Hunter location at 4 mana, Crimson Expanse. Choose a damaged minion, summon a copy of it that goes dormant for 1 turn. Not amazing, guys, not amazing. Sitting at 4 mana, I think that's a little bit too expensive. The dormant effect is also not amazing on it. So I'm not sure. I think this is actually something bottom of the barrel kind of action. I think I'm gonna give it a C. I might not be seeing something I should be seeing in this one, but for now, I'm not exactly impressed by this card. You tell me, what do you think in the comments, but for me, it's kind of a bummer. What's not a bummer is the new 3-mana Excavate treasure cards for both Shaman and Pally. That's the Shroomscavate. Give a minion Wind Fury and Divine Shield, and also Excavate a treasure. Instant S-tier cards, excellent excavation action, and just if this was just giving Wind Fury, honestly, the fact that you can slap this to a Pally minion right now, I think is insanely busted, and I do believe that aggro Pally is gonna go over the top with this one, because you can literally OTK a person as long as you have a 1/1 Silver Hand recruit on the board. Like, you can literally, in a single turn, on turn 6, give something +5/+5 twice for 0 mana, and still have 3 mana to boot. Like, let's say slap it with the 3 mana Aura, or just give it a Hand of a Doll, and still have enough mana for Shroomscavate. And that's like literally OTK territory right there, so I think this card is gonna be just absolutely over the top. You don't even need the Excavate on it to be great for Pally right now, but since you also have that, it's gonna see play in basically all sorts of decks. And yeah, I think it's a scary broken card, which I'm not gonna be surprised if it goes up to 4 mana at some point. Going down to the last 4 cards, we have a Priest Druid card for 5 mana, Shattered Reflections. Choose a minion, add a copy to your hand, deck, and battlefield. Again, you could be copying Titans with this one with great success. You could copy your own, you could copy the opponent's. You could copy Yogs, Astalors, a lot of things. It should be a pretty good value card. Should be fitting in Highlander decks, I feel. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to be game-breaking or anything. Like, in the end of the day, you are going to be able to actually summon literally a Titan like this for 5 mana while getting the other copies as well. So, it might actually be an A-class card. It might actually be very, very strong for both the decks because they have Highlander decks already, which are going to be pretty good, and this might actually make Highlander Priest actually viable again, because right now it's kind of a very fringe situation for it. I don't know, I think it's an actually pretty good card. We also have a 4-mana Demon Hunter card, Fell Fissures. It's a rare Fell spell, deal 2 damage to all minions. At the start of your turn, deal 2 more damage to all minions. So basically deal 4 damage to all minions. Kind of cockblocks the opponent for a turn. But it could also be a negative effect. Let's say you play this against the warrior and they put a couple of 2/5 sludge idiots on the board and suddenly you gave him 4 sludges in their possession. All around, I don't know, it's not a super amazing card. Not sure where you're gonna be fitting this in. Highlander, Demon Hunter never really picked up. So it's either B or a C. I don't know, what do you guys think, B or a C? I'm gonna give it a C. Honestly, thing like the Kobold that was dealing 2 damage and drawing you a card was super MVP for Warlock for all the time it was in Standards, so that alone kind of inclines me to think this is another A-class card. Like, you're no stranger to taking damage, it could actually be healing you as well, comboed off with the weapon. Gives you a lot of card draw, exactly what the Warlock class enjoys the most, so all around I think it's an excellent A-class card. And lastly we have the Quartz Crusher, a 4-mana free weapon that's gonna be a rainbow weapon for Blood and Frost Death Knight, so you gotta have one of each. And it has lifesteal as well as freeze enemy characters damaged by your hero. Sounds like an okay weapon, but the requirements for it are a little bit too high. Obviously you're not gonna build your entire deck because you want to include this weapon. You're gonna include this weapon if you already have a deck built like this, so I guess we shouldn't really judge the cards by that. But it should be all around a good card, I think. I think I'm gonna go with another B class for it. It's slightly above average, but it's not as amazing as some other cards, honestly, so I think B is fair. So that's it for all the cards, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think I goofed here. Like, surely I goofed something. It's me, after all, we're talking. Pretty long video to make. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna do amazingly well on the clicks, but if you want to change that, a like and a comment, heck, even a share would really be appreciated. So yeah, thank you in advance. Do let me know in the comments what you think about the cards, and yeah, we're gonna be seeing all of these joining Hearthstone on the 18th of January. And for anybody wondering, yes, the mini set is always worth buying, usually for 2,000 gold, but if you have tenor, it might be worth especially if some of these cards get nerfed, but then again, not that many epics and rares in him, and the legendaries, I think only Bran has the real potential to get nerfed. Finley maybe as well, but I wouldn't really hold my breath for that one. So yeah, 2,000 gold is a no-brainer every time for any mini set, no matter how bad it is. Just the fact that you're no longer going to be opening the cards, if you still have missing cards from the big set, that alone is worth it in my book. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be doing after the new mini set launches. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to get time for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.